BigBossRadio.net, man. We here, Sean C, LV, Young Sav. I got the legendary DJ Premo in the building. And I got an idea, LV. I got an idea.
What's that?
Last 15 minutes of the show, we're going to go straight Premo.
Straight Premo?
Yeah. Just straight music. No,
all day.
no talking, straight Premo.
I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
But, Premo, we want to talk about Biggie.
All right.
I'm going to let Sean C ask you.
Yeah, like that era, like the whole, let's say, you know, people, the 90s, the early 90s, mid 90s, like that was, you was tearing shit apart. You know what I mean?
Right.
You had the Group Home album, which has like some of the best beats ever.
Yeah, we on the century.
Yeah, y'all, you know what I'm saying? So y'all, you was killing shit then, and you did Unbelievable. I heard the story about how that came together, but I never heard like how when it was time to come back and do the second Biggie album, and you had the expectations was high.
Right.
So like to do the records that you did for him on the second record, how did you go about doing that? Like what was the, you know what I mean? What was
For Life After Death?
For Life After Death.
Well,
like he came to you. I know he wanted a beat. How did he come at you?
Well, I mean, first of all, just the fact that we did Unbelievable, I did it for $5,000, and at that time I was making like $30,000 a track, which back in '95 was a big deal. You know what I'm saying? And long story short, man, you know, I did that on the love for Big because I moved out of the Bronx back to Brooklyn. I lived on Washington Avenue between Lafayette and Green, and we used to drink 40s back then. So I used to go get my old gold on Fulton and Washington, and Big and them used to always be out there. Him, Nino, Chico, D-Rock, Gutter, Kim. I remember Lil Dap used to always be like trying to push up on Kim. Yeah, come here, Kim, come here. I want to get up with you. Yeah. All that stuff. And she was all like, Dap, yeah, you silly, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, Big was just saying, man, it's Junior Mafia, that's going to be my crew.
Right.
And we see Puff come pick him up to try to take him to the studio. And Big was like, yo, if you ain't give me no money, I'm not going. And, you know, even the movie, man, like, there was a lot of truth to it because I knew Big and I was around a lot of that shit. Did my mic cut off?
Oh, yeah, what's it?
So long story short, after everything popped off with the you know, my first gold single, which was, you know, the B-side to Juicy, but you know, it was my first gold single, which was a big deal because I never get the single side. My songs always the joints on the album, you know.
Right.
And so when it came down to that, and you know, I remember the day Big called me and said, "Yo, we got a gold single." I was all happy. I said, "You know, I'm gonna charge you next time," because you know, the budget got bigger. You know, Puff always looked out and paid me the money I wanted, and we actually. Kicking the door, Puff and I had a big disagreement on that, which I've told the story before. And Puff's my man. You know, we good people because we were, you know, man enough to get the results that we got. You know, when I sent back then I used to make the little 10-minute cassette tapes of beats. But me, I make the beats. Like I don't have 10, 15 beats to give you and you pick one. To this day, I go in and I make it tailored to what I think sound good
for you.
For that specific person.
And if you don't like it, fine. I mean, that's why I now dropped my projects, Beats That Collected Dust, which I got a new one about to drop, part 2, because of that. Because a lot of people have turned down beats from Jay to Erykah Badu to Bilal to, you know,
to everybody.
Right. And with Kicking the Door, I made the beat, took it to Bad Boy, and dropped it off. I remember later on, Tracy Waples called and said, "Yo, your platinum plaque came. Come pick it up." Wow. I was like, "Oh, I'm on my way." I was all excited. Went over there to get the platinum plaque, and Puffy saw me going on the elevator, and that was the first time I saw Puff with security. And you know, because he got to that level. You know,
that's when he was crazy.
He was just getting to that level. You know, so it was only right. I ain't mad at him. And then boom. He saw me on the elevator, and I thought he was trying to play me because he got on the elevator, and I'm for Dolo. So he's like, "Yo, man, that beat you gave me today is whack." I was like, "Which one?" He said, the one you dropped off." I said, "That shit is hard, yo." He said, "Nah, you ain't hitting it like you did the last one. I need a tunnel banger." I said, "Man, that's a tunnel banger." I said, "Trust me." I said, and I'm arguing with him. "You don't know nothing about hip hop, blah, 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 blah." And then he's like, "Yo, the bottom line is this. I need you to make another beat. That one ain't going on the album." I was like, all right. I was all down and shit. Boom. Big calls me late on that afternoon, like around after 5, and he goes, "Yo, can you come to the studio tonight and so we can record that joint?" I said, "What joint?" He said, "The one you left the cassette to." I said, "Puff said he don't like it."
He ain't fuck with it.
He said, "Fuck Puff." And that's big, you know. And again, it's funny now because again, even when he said "fuck Puff," it's not in a disrespectful way.
Nah, he was just
they was really friends, man. Like I've seen them hang on some real positive shit, and that's why I got love for Puff on a whole different level because I know Puff from even when I just got into Gangstar, when he was dancing and doing all that stuff. I know him, so we still have a really good relationship, and big up to Puff. You know what I'm saying? And he's an ill ass businessman. So he said, "Come on down. I want to lay it down." I said, "All right, cool." And I went back to the studio to D&D to print it on the reel because he had just had his car accident, and I kept telling Puff I wanted to do it at D&D, and then at the same time, him and J. Rue the Damager were having a little tension. You know what I'm saying? Because of the One Day record that we did, and even when we did that record, we weren't trying to diss any of them. We did it just to talk about the state of where hip hop was, and it was really in a bad state. So when Rue pushed a couple buttons, but I thought it was necessary, and I co-signed it and said I'm riding with you. If anybody make a move on you, they got to move on me too. So when we went to do that session, I went to that session with my guard up, and I said I ain't bringing none of my niggas, nobody like that. I'm gonna roll for Delph. And let's see what the vibe is like. All my dudes wanted to roll with me, like, nah, man, cause we gotta roll with you. Something might go down. I was like, nah, man. Big's my peoples, Puff's my peoples. That situation with them's got to be worked out with them, and let it be what it is. But Big was like, I'm going to get your man on the record. All right, do your thing. You a grown ass man. Say what you gotta say, and whatever the repercussions is, repercussions. But it never turned into a repercussion. He threw a little dart.
So it was a shot on kicking the door.
Yeah, when he said, "Son, I'm surprised you run with them. I think they got coming them because they nothing but dicks trying to blow up like nitro dynamite sticks." I knew exactly. I stopped the tape. I said, "Hold on, you think that's funny?" And I remember I looked at everybody and said, y'all think that's funny? And nobody said nothing to me, man. I remember Jay Black was there, and I remember he even looked like, damn, man. I got made fun of the worst on that One Day record because Jay Rue said we snatched up Jay Black and beat his bitch ass down, but that was because Jay Black did something very disrespectful, and I know what he did, and Rue had love for him until he heard him say something on the phone about him, and he was just so shocked that he said it, and that he was only right. He had to get stepped to, and he got stepped to at the tunnel with Lil Fame from MOP, and
got nasty.
And so when we did the record, it was like, we gotta throw a dart at him too. Not me myself, but I got the beat, so I am involved, and whatever happens, happens. But at the end of the day, it all got worked out. I let Big keep the vocal, but I still checked him on it.
Right.
But you man enough to say that in front of me. I'll let you ride with that and let it go, and I'll let it go. I could have erased and took the real, but I wouldn't do that.
Right.